Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is the Freedom Seekers Live TV episode 54, and I have a lovely guest today. She is my neighbor in Europe. She's from the UK. You will hear her lovely accent. She's a mom to four. She will talk about that maybe a little bit. She lives in the UK on the east side, about 2 hour drive from London. And we just talked a little bit, and she loves serving people. And that is also going to be one of the topics of this conversation, because we are going to talk about follow-up and the importance of following up with people and being genuine with people. So with no further ado, I'm going to add to the stream Natalie Carthew. Do I pronounce your name right?
Yes, absolutely, Monique. That's right. Thank you.
Welcome, Natalie. Thank you for your time, and thank you for wanting to share your wisdom with the audience. So let's start at the beginning. Who is Natalie? Can you tell us a little bit about you?
So who am I? I'm Natalie. I am wife to my husband, Roy, who I also work with for the last 8 years. I'm a business owner. I set my business up in 2012. So it's over a decade old, which I can't quite believe some days. It's gone so quickly. I have 3 stepchildren and my son Jack. So we have 4 children, not all at home. We only have 1 left at home with us now. And I'm also a friend, business owner, and I'm also a massive rugby supporter, because that is the sport of choice in our house. And I'm often on the sidelines on a Sunday in the rain.
What kind of sport is that?
Rugby.
Rugby. Oh, I didn't understand. Oh, rugby. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it is. It is. So sometimes I'm actually there with my eyes shut, because it's so scary watching them. So that's me in no particular order. But yes, I'm just so excited to be here with you and share with your lovely viewers.
Well, thank you. But you are an entrepreneur. You already have for years your own business. You said to me before we started the live that you have been working from home already for a long time. So when COVID hit, that wasn't something new. But have you always been an entrepreneur, or is that something that came over you, that came by accident?
I think it's in your DNA, actually. I think that an entrepreneurial spirit, I think you either have it or you don't. I don't think that you can go and learn to be entrepreneurial. I think you can learn lots of skills that make you a good business owner, but I think there's a difference between being entrepreneurial and being a business owner. And entrepreneurial to me is around being a visionary, being a game changer, being open to take risks and pivot. And I think that's slightly different to me. So I'm going to say it's in my blood, in a sense. So I have had, probably 15 years of corporate life. I graduated from university, and my first job was at a bank. And it was really interesting because I spent 10 years growing up in Canada.
Oh.
And my first job after university was working for the Royal Bank of Canada, just by sheer coincidence. So that was very funny. Yeah, Royal Bank of Canada, Dominion Securities. And then I went on to work for Salomon Smith Barney, an investment bank. And then I went on to work for Citibank. And so a lot of my corporate career was in banking. It's very male dominated. I then went to work, spent 5 years at a startup. And that was a private merchant bank. There was 5 of us on day one, and 4 founders and myself. I worked there for 5 years with them, and we grew from 5 people to 150.
Wow.
It was the best, probably the best time, I think, of my career. I had loads of firsts when I was at that company. I was the first woman employee. I was the first woman to go part-time. I was the first woman to have a baby. I was the first woman that they had to design a maternity package for. So there was all these firsts, and I was so grateful for that. And I think being part of a startup is very different to working in an established business, because you really turn your hands to so many things. But for me, I think coming back to sort of that entrepreneurial DNA, thinking about my father, he retired from his job at 42. And he then went on to develop properties and have a property portfolio and rental properties and other things. And the gift for me, for him retiring from his day job, his 9 to 5, wasn't quite that. It was more 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. because he worked in the futures market. But what I learned was, well, one, I got to know him. And in 1986, I was 11 years old, and I didn't really know him properly until then, until he gave up the employment, you know, the corporate rat race, as they call it. And fast forward 14 years, he died.
Oh.
So I was 25, and 2 weeks before he died, he said to me that he didn't regret anything in his life. And he was only 56. And he said, the one thing is, I didn't sit behind a desk for the last 15 years. He said, I could have stayed in my job. And I think that's really what spurred me on, I think, to take that step from corporate employment to set up my own business, because I was 46 last year, giving my age away to everyone. And I thought last year to myself, I've been in business for 10 years. In another 10 years, when I will be 56, like my father, can I say I have no regrets?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
I wasn't able to do that. So I set about changing my whole business. And financially, it was a really, really risky decision. I had to follow what was going to bring me joy for the next 10 years. And it wasn't what I was doing in my business. So I'm still a business owner, but I'm pivoting into a space which is so much more already rewarding. Not financially yet, but I know that I've got the spirit, the drive, and the commitment. And I think those are probably three of the strongest qualities you can have succeed when you're in business for yourself.
Yeah.
So long answer to your question.
No, but it's a clear answer. And I really understand what you're trying to say, because that is the number one thing people are saying when they die, is that they have regrets, and that can be all sorts of regrets. And that is such a pity. Often it is because people are afraid to step outside of their comfort zone, and are afraid to try something else that maybe could change the course of their life. So I'm really happy that you shared this, because that is something that a lot of people struggle with. But Natalie, how would you describe yourself as a business owner? What kind of business, how would you describe your business?
What I do. So I would say, in the short thing, I'm a sales strategist, trainer, and mentor. I love people, and I love seeing results. And I'm really practical. So what I do is work with heart-centered business owners who are either just setting up, or they're quite, perhaps say, under probably 3 years in business, or they're an established business and they're pivoting. So it's like they're starting over again. Sometimes it can feel like that. And I have training programs for small groups of 4 people. And I also have, where my absolute passion is in my online sales school. So I have a sales school currently with, I think we've about 20 of us in sales school. It's term time. So it works really well for me, being obviously a business owner, but also having a family. I decided last year, not having had a holiday, I've had vacations, but I've always worked on them for 10 years. And last year, again, I decided if I had a term time membership, it meant I could have the whole of August off. I could have all the school holidays off, and I could be really present with my son who's 16, because time goes really quickly. And if you don't grab the moments when they present themselves, you can't get them back. So that was a big change for me.
I totally understand that. I can be, yes.
No, I was just going to say, when I say heart center, I think that's how I see myself. And so that's the clients I want to attract, and the people in my world. You know, that's my friends are empathetic. They are open to sharing, and I'm going to use the word nice. They're just nice people, and that's who I want to be with, because I think often when you're in a corporate job or you're in employment, you don't get to choose who you work with, right?
No.
You don't get to choose who you hang out with. Whereas I think that's one of the massive bonuses as a business owner, that we have that freedom to do that.
Do you think that is something that is often forgotten in today's world with the internet and social media, that people forget that they are talking to humans? When sometimes we see our inbox, our message inbox with all those spammy messages and links, join my this and join my that, without even knowing them. Do you think that has this always been like that, but more offline? Or do you think it's really something that is happening more today?
I think it's absolutely ramped up in the last, I'm going to say the last 5 years, but particularly I think in the last 3 years. And I think technology obviously has advanced. So it is easier for people to have systems in place, to do it for them. I went in a shop yesterday, and there was an assistant at the checkout. And I said, and I went over, and he said, "Oh no, you have to use the self-service area." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Gosh, they really don't want anybody to have any jobs." It's very just off the cuff remark. And he said, "There's only 3 of us in the store, myself, a manager, and another sales colleague." And I said, "Oh gosh, okay, you know, that's quite sad." And I think that humans cannot be replaced, because I think it's going to go full circle. And I think it's the same with the tech. So I have a marketing system that can email people, but I don't spam them. They are not getting daily emails from me. It's purposeful, and it adds value. And for me, I think less is more. And I think it depends where you sit, because people, there is so much, I'm going to say sort of like instant, you know, everybody is so instant about everything. And so do you really have the attention span to give to things? I'm trying to think about this email marketing, because I feel really quite passionate about it. And I think often it's about numbers. So firstly, how much do you want to earn? And how much do you want to work? And those two do have to go hand in hand. But also, if you know what you need to earn, you can then work out what you need to sell, and then you can work out to how many people. And actually, do you need to be spamming a mailing list of 1,000 people? I mean, I touched on this with you earlier, Monique. It's, you know, if you have the right people in the right place, and you've got the right product at the right price, you're going to actually be far more successful in selling than just broadcasting to 1,000 of people that signed up. You know what? I've done it. I've signed up to get a lead magnet. You know, oh gosh, that looks really great. And then I get it, and it's so disappointing. And it's low quality. There's no substance to it. It's literally just a template off of Canva that they've put their brand colors on. And so I unsubscribe, and they've got my email. Okay, I've unsubscribed, but I might not do that for a couple of weeks. I might forget to. So they're really just, I see it when it's coming through, they're just shouting at you. There's no relationship there. So for me, I would rather work with less people, be more bespoke, get to know people, because actually the rewards are going to be so much richer. And that's not just a financial richer. You know, I'm talking about like feeding your soul. It's going to be more enjoyable. And that's why I work for myself, because I want to enjoy work.
Yeah.
So I think there is lots of it out there, but I think it's going to go full circle. I think that people will be, or shall I say, the people that I'm attracted to won't be the people that are doing that mass shouty marketing.
Because you attract the people that are interested in your way of working, in your way of doing, and that is your tribe. So what you broadcast, what you put out there is going to attract people. And if you don't like the people that you attract, then maybe you should change something in the way you are working. So that is totally true. One of your other passions is a follow-up. We just talked about it a little bit before we went live. Most of the people think that follow-up is sending spammy messages every other day. Hi, how are you? I thought you could join my this or join my that, and so on and so on. What is follow-up for you, and why is it so important, and why does it passionate you so much?
Oh gosh, okay. There's lots there. I think firstly that follow-up is really powerful, and I think very, very few people do enough quality follow-up to get results. And by that, I mean that we give up after 2 or 3 times. And we have this little mind monkey that says to us, oh, you can't possibly get in touch again. You haven't heard back, or they're not interested, or they would have replied. We've got all these stories that we play to ourselves I think, to convince ourselves not to follow up again. And statistically, it takes 7 follow-ups on average. Now, I know if I did a little poll very quickly, if people are here live or watching on replay, if you think just to yourself, how many times do you typically follow up? So I'll ask you, Monique, how often, how many times do you typically follow up?
I had the right answer, and that is what I do. I follow up all the time, and I know that it is around 6-7 times. So, but I am curious. I think that is a great question to ask to the audience. Put in the comments how many times do you think is the perfect time to follow up with people? And a second question is, what ways are following up ways? Is it only sending messages, or are there also other ways to follow up? So I would really love to learn what the audience is thinking about that. But for you, back to you. This is your platform now. 7 times, is that what you said? Do we need in average? And why is that, you think?
I think that there's lots of reasons for that. I think that the more you follow up with quality follow-up steps, so it's really important to have a follow-up strategy in your business, and your follow-up strategy may be different for different products or services that you offer. And also it may depend how much time you put into following up of the value of what you're trying to sell. Okay, if that makes sense. So I think you need to have probably a core strategy, but there's going to be different variations of it. But I think people don't follow up because they're stuck on perhaps what to say in the follow-up. Typically, you know, let's say we've had a conversation, I've told you about my program, I've sent you the information, and I haven't heard back. So what's my next step is to send an email. And typically people say, oh yeah, hey Monique, it was great to chat last week. I know you've received all the information now. Have you got any questions? I'd love to jump on another call, for example, and then you put your call link in. Well, that's kind of expecting people to do quite a lot. And you're asking multiple things. Do you have any questions? Let's book another call in. And I think the simplest thing I always say to people is one thing at one time to one person. You know, whether you're selling something, whether you're trying to share an idea with them, you're sort of perhaps doing 3 follow-ups there in one. So you could break those down. I think as well, you said to the viewers, you know, how do you follow up? What's the method? What do you use as your vehicle? You've got email, you've got WhatsApp, You've got Messenger, you've got Facebook, and you've got LinkedIn, you've got voice notes, you've got the telephone. Shock, horror. You know, if you've got someone's phone number, you can actually pick up the phone. And I think people forget that. So they just have in their mind, oh, I'll follow up a couple of times. And that involves sending a generic, boring email. I want people to be creative, and I want them to think for 1 minute. This is a really good point. Think for a moment, how did that person reach out to you in the beginning? Was it on Messenger? Because if it was, the chances are you're going to get a response more from Messenger, perhaps than sending an email that's going to go into their inbox and be buried. Just because it's convenient for you to send the email, I think you need to think about the person that you're looking to serve. And if you ask them the question when you're on the sales call, you know, I tend to follow up after a few days. Is that going to be convenient? And would you like a phone call, or is email more convenient? Like, you can ask permission. And I think for me, that's a big thing, is setting up the next step. And if you ask permission, you're opening the door to say, I will get in touch. So again, if you're brave enough to pick up the phone for one of your follow-ups, I say to my clients and my students in sales school, I'll say, when you leave a voicemail, if they don't pick up, because often if people don't have your phone number saved in their phone, they won't pick up. Don't say to yourself, oh, but they didn't know I've got their phone number. Well, okay, they've got a website. If they've got a phone number on it, you can use it. And if it goes to voicemail, what you say is, oh, hi, it's Nat. Just following up after our conversation last week. Just wanted to check in and make sure you received everything. Here's my number. If I don't hear back, I'll give you a call on Friday. Straight away, they're expecting me to call again. So I know on Friday, you have to do it. So you have to have this system. And you have to make sure that you follow up on the Friday when you say you do. So then if you get the voicemail again, you might say, oh gosh, we've missed each other again. But as promised, I'm following up. Here we are. It's Friday again. I'll drop you an email. Then you've transitioned yourself to your next step. And you can see straight away there, we've almost done 3, if not 4 follow-ups.
That's
and it's very natural. I mean, some of the ideas I like is inviting them to an event. Have you got a networking meeting where you can take a guest? Follow up that isn't related to what you're trying to sell them. I think we all sometimes can have that block because you really want to work with the person. You really want to make the sale. And actually, sometimes you can just follow up in a very different way, in a sense. So let's go over to, say, LinkedIn. Go look at what have they put up, what's been going on in their world. Go and comment on some of their stuff to jog their memory and bring you back into their world. Because you said it earlier, Monique, we're so busy. There's so much going on. There's so much online traffic and noise. We can get really easily distracted. Oh, shiny new thing. Oh, there's something else, and pulls our attentions away. And also, I think with follow-up, and again, this is another one of my sort of, listen more than you speak when you're having those initial conversations, because it may be somebody says, oh yes, my sister's getting married next week. So you're not going to follow up next week. You're going to follow up in 10 days' time and say, how's it going? How was your sister's wedding?
Or a little message on the day of the wedding to say, have a wonderful, to show them that you think about them without thinking about making a sale.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It's like I wrote a post like last week, I think. People forgetting when they are working online that they are humans, that they are talking to other humans. I wrote in the post, are you going into a bar and you go to a man at the bar and you say, here are my hotel room keys. I see you in 5 minutes. So maybe there are people that are doing that, but I think in general, that is not how it happens. So that is also in business conversations. It doesn't always have to be a sale on the first talk. It has to be You have to build up that like and trust. And when people like and trust you, then and only then they will buy something from you. So that is so valuable what you shared with us, because it really takes more than 1, 2, or 3 efforts and follow-ups before people decide to buy or not to buy. And then it is really important, like you said, keep the door open. Okay, it's maybe not for you now, but is it okay that I follow up with you in 4 or 5 months? You put it in your calendar, like you said, you do what you say and you follow up, and then people start to see you as a genuine but also a professional person.
And they trust you because you say when you're going to do it, and you do it by then.
Yeah. And that is so important. Yeah.
You tell them, you get in touch and say, oh, I was going to do X, but I can't do it by Y. It's going to be Z.
Yeah. So then they know that you are human too, that you can have some things coming up and so on. For our talk today, for example, it was 1 hour earlier. And I asked Natalie, is it possible? If not, we would have done it at the same time. But I was very happy that it was possible. But stay human. Stay like you are going to the grocery store and you talk with the person in front of the line. You are not going to ask them strange things either. So very valuable, Natalie. Thank you very much. So that is also the ABC rule that you talked to me about before this this conversation started. Can you talk a little bit about that also, about the ABC rule?
Yeah, absolutely. So ABC, people perhaps might associate that with sales talk of old, which is always be closing. That isn't what my ABC stands for following up. And it becomes at the end of a paid client relationship, this example, but it can apply to also when you haven't had a monetary transaction. And I'll give you a really good example in a moment as well of that. So ABC is ask, be specific, and C, clarity. And the reason I have this ABC rule is when you have, we'll set the scene. You've worked with a client for, say you have a 3-month program. You've worked with a client for 3 months and you want to get their feedback. I always suggest not doing it at the very end. I think you should do it at intervals throughout and make that really clear at the beginning that that's what you will be doing. But you've come to the end of the program together. And when people are going to get feedback, and that might be in the shape of a review or a recommendation, because obviously people, humans, as you say, we're really, really powerful at promoting other people. There's a huge power in the testimonial. And I'm really passionate about that. And I have a specific masterclass for a whole hour just on testimonials and how you can use them effectively. But asking for them, I think, is the first thing. You have to ask, okay? The next thing is be really, really clear and be really specific on why you're asking for it, why it's going to help you, and how they can give you the testimonial. And again, coming on to C, around that clarity, that's giving them the instructions that they need. You know, I'm not saying that you're going to put the words into their mouth, but if you've asked for the testimonial and then you explain why, and let that be specific, why you're asking for it. Because if I said to you, oh, Monique, it was great working with you. I'm looking to launch a new program next month, or I'm looking to increase my marketing efforts because I need to attract new people to my next cohort. Your feedback's really valuable to me. It's really appreciated. And it's going to help me attract more people to help and to work with me. So straight away, I've given you the understanding why it's important. And I think then there's some emotional connection between why I'm asking. It's not just that, oh, it was great working together. Are you happy to do a recommendation for me on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
There's meaning to it. And I think when there's meaning and you're being specific with people, it gives them direction to go in. And I have a framework for it. And there's 4 questions to ask, because people can then just answer the questions if they feel more comfortable. And again, I'll say to people, I'm really happy to take your answers, craft something for you if that's something you'd like, because I think often people don't do a review or recommendation because they don't know what to say.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're stuck. So that's why you have to be really specific what you want, and then really clear and have that clarity around where is it going to be put? Where are you going to use it?
Mm-hmm.
Give them the links to it and say, these are the instructions. I will email you or I will message you from LinkedIn with the recommendation. Here's my Google review link. Here's wherever you have it, or you may just say, I'm going to use it on my website. Tell them the benefits of doing it. What are the benefits for their business? So really great example. I did a video testimonial for a copywriter I worked with a couple of years ago, and she was delighted. She said, oh my goodness, no one will ever do a video testimonial for me.
Yeah.
So she took my video testimonial and she put it at the end of her sales page. And it was great because it had my name, it had my business on there. It was free exposure. It was free advertising. Yes, I'd used her services, but as a copywriter, I know a lot of the people that work with her and are attracted to her are also going to be my ideal client. So there is benefit.
Yeah.
But again, I think you have to point that out to people, and you have to be really clear in your intentions, because typically most people do give without an expectation of having something back.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a bonus to me, because also you can give a testimonial, you can give a recommendation to working with somebody as well. What were they like to work with, even though they were your client?
Yeah.
And I often say that, it's a reciprocal. You can say, if you're looking for me to do one, I'd love to do a recommendation for you as well. Tell them what you can offer them back. And then suddenly it totally changes that transaction.
Yeah, that is something people are too afraid that about their competition. But we are over 8 billion people in this world. So if you want to serve all those over 8 billion people, I think you don't sleep anymore. So that is not possible. So there is no competition. It's only your people, your tribe that you attract, and that can already be more than enough. So, well, Natalie, I thank you for sharing all this. We are already at the end of this lovely talk. I learned a lot. I made a lot of notes. Where can people reach out to you and talk to you if they want to, if they have more questions, if they want to work with you, or where can they reach out to you?
So I will pop in the comments or share with you, but you can go to my website, which is www.loveSales.co, which has just popped up on the screen. You could also perhaps hang out with me in my #1 free Facebook group for coaches, consultants, and soon to be entrepreneurs. If you're looking to take that next step, I love my group on Facebook. It's called Not the Six Figure Business Club. And that's really resonates with a lot of people. I'll give you a little bit of a glimmer into the inspiration of naming it. So I'm pretty bored of hearing from the coaches out there that, work with me to break 6 figures, or work with me to break the 7 figures. That's not everybody's ambition. And I wanted to turn it on its head and have a space for people that they're not there yet. Maybe they have that aspiration and they will one day. But for me, not the 6 figure business club. Oh, you've got business in there. But like I say, I can pop the links up. For me, it's just a really nice place to learn, hang out, collaborate, and be with like-minded people where no question's a silly question. And people are really, really comfortable to say, I'm having a really bad month. I need some ideas. Anyone fancy jumping on a co-working session? Anyone fancy a Zoom? It's about coming together with other people in a place, for me, that is inspiring, motivating, and encouraging.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's what I love. And not the 6 figure business club, because not everybody aspires to that. And also, listen, 6 figures starts at 100,000, but it also goes up to 999,999. You know, it's a pretty big range, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I feel really passionate about helping micro businesses, startups, you know, especially I'm going to say business owners who don't have the budget to invest and outsource yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how you can build your business one step at a time at your pace and at what fits your pocket, because everybody has different budgets.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. And not everybody has the same goal. So that is really. I love the name. I really love the name. So Natalie, I'm going to wrap this conversation up because we are going over the time already. But there was so much to share. So I'm really glad you did. So I'm going to put in the link to your contacts already into the description. I wish you all the best. I hope to talk to you soon and to see you grow even more. So thank you for your time and thank you for sharing all your wisdom with the audience. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica.
So, well, wasn't this an amazing talk? I want to recap a little bit because there was a lot of information. So follow-up, we hear a lot follow-up, money is in the follow-up, but it really is, but it depends on the way that you follow up. So in average, we need to follow up at least 7 times. Why? Because there is so much out there. There is so much white noise. People need to be reminded, but in a genuine and in a kind way, and not spamming people. Ask questions, the ABC rule. Ask, be specific and be clear if you want to have tutorials, but also in conversations, so people know exactly what you're talking about. One thing, one time, one person. Don't try to reach too many people at the same time. Talk to one person at one time and about one subject and not a lot of things, because that means that you also can have different conversations with that person. And of course, the ways of reaching out, there are so many ways, but it's choose the one that is best for your lead, for your client, for your possible client, and not only what is convenient to you. I think that was a great message from Natalie there. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation. We will be back on Friday for the 55th Freedom Seekers Live TV with my Australian lady. And she has a lot to talk about because she was on a show a few years ago. And after that, her business really took off. So I'm really excited about that conversation too. So for now, I wish you all the best. Go check out lovesales.co from Natalie. Reach out to her via the link in the description to chat with her on Messenger, and or try to join the Facebook group, Not the Six Figures Business Club. So for today, I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you in the next live. Bye for now.